is the Aphelios Renata going to be locked in for V5? That's the big question.
Yeah, I mean, they go for the Wukong, so I feel like V5 have to take one or the other, or you risk giving it to Abel and Cold. And at that point, V5 wouldn't even be able to, like, answer with the same matchup. Ooh! Rich taking the Lillia top into Shanji, which is, of course, the matchup which Shanji ran the flip side of a couple of weeks ago. Maybe learning a thing or two. Okay, very big curveball. I really like this too.
What a way to come into game number 2, right?
Yeah.
V5 are like, we've lost to the creativity of OMG. Okay, we're going to take some of their own creativity and use it against them. You're going to blind Gwen against me. I'm going to take your Gwen counter away from you. Rich bringing the Lillia, and now a Vi locked in for Aki. Creme going with that Sylas once again.
Yeah, and has two very strong ultimates to steal away. If I remember how Sylas ult works with Lillia, these aren't champions that you typically see on the opposite side of the rift. He kind of technically gets like the sleep portion passive of Lillia's kit, where when he damages champions, it allows him to then recast the sleep. So we'll see what V5 decide to do, as they actually just go towards the Tahm Kench. So OMG are going to do the smart thing and ban away the Senna, at the very least, to stop that from being a combination. But now you kind of have the situation where it's Jinx or Aphelios probably that you're banning away, and you kind of have to just pick your poison on what you'd rather play into. Or you could leave them both up, take either side of the matchup, and be kind of happy with that. I think that's also a very valid choice, and maybe you'd ban away one of Ricky's champions. Maybe someone like Azir could be a very smart ban here, because you have a very short-range composition at the moment. I feel like that could definitely be a pretty big issue to deal with when you start to play towards those mid-game team fights.
Yeah, I like the strategy, though, of picking up this Tahm Kench, right? With the Senna, Aphelios, and Jinx, as you say, all viable options alongside that Tahm Kench. You do force the hand of OMG just a little bit, because if they ban either, you get that matchup for free. I have no idea what you ban.
I feel like you go towards the Azir. I think Azir would be really great disengaged. They're actually going to go towards the Yode for Ricky. And you know what? I kind of understand that. The sleep sets up so well for the Fate Seal that I think having to deal with that when you already have 3 bruisers on your team comp would be pretty obnoxious. So pretty big respect ban, and a very understandable one as well. As V5, they're just going to go towards Ahri for Rookie. So a matchup we've seen plenty of times, and I feel like the perception of the matchup has started to shift a little bit. Originally, we started to see Sylas picked into Ahri a lot more times. Now we just kind of see mid laners happy to handshake this matchup, as now it's over to OMG in terms of what AD carry they want to pick up, because the Aphelios is there. Renara, of course, is banned away, but you can still go for something like Norless if you'd like to get yourself a little bit of additional engage. Plenty of support picks still up for Cold. You could even go a defensive route, to be honest with you, which wouldn't be too bad. Something like Braum, perhaps, just to kind of win out the team fights a little bit harder, because the concussive blows will have so much value when you have effectively 4 auto attackers on your team already.
So is there an option where you go Ashe still in this situation, where you're not against the Renata necessarily, you're against Tahm Kench?
I think the problem with doing that is obviously Ashe ult is a single target, and Devour, whilst it's got a significantly longer cooldown than the Ashe arrow, it's just a little bit, you know, difficult to play around with, right? You have to throw out the Ashe ults off cooldown consistently, which Cold was doing last game, to be fair, but I think going towards this Lulu just makes a little more sense, right? You give yourself a buff in the utility side of things. It helps keep this Aphelios alive, and we expected the handshake between this Jinx and Aphelios, and it has finally come in for V5.
So we've got a Lulu for Cold this time. Cold, I historically think of Cold, I think of Blitzcrank. That was one of my favorite picks from Cold, like these hook champions, these hard engaged champions. Seems to be an Enchanter player now, going with the Lulu as well. But Aki with the Vi, wanting to be aggressive and specifically locking this in answer to the Wukong, right? The Wukong came through in the first rotation from the side of V5. I am going to be keeping my eye on Aki, because while Cold obviously had a great game on that Ashe, the arrows were great, Aki was really controlling a lot of that game. And I feel like he's consistently been the star player on the side of OMG. So now locking in a Vi, a pick that we occasionally see. Usually it's picked against these high mobility AD carries like the Kalista, like the Ezreal. None of that on the other side. Instead, picking it against this Wukong and against the Lillia in the top lane.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to maybe worried about for Aki is the fact that it's also into Tahm Kench, and those ultimates have, in my mind, rather comparable cooldowns. I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember what the Vi ult cooldown is. I know it's around 2 minutes, and then it starts to get quite low once you get those levels in, but I think ppgod is really gonna be a bit of a pain in the backside for Aki to deal with. just because whoever he uses the Assault and Barrier on, he's just going to devour them and stop that CC from coming through. I think, though, top side, definitely where you want to focus early on if you're Ahri when you have this matchup, which can be very volatile, which we've seen from Shanji already.
We certainly have ppgod standing in Pixel Brush here, so Creme can't step up, and you wouldn't expect it to anyway. Standard level 1, but not a standard draft. Once again, we enter an OMG game, and once again, they force creativity out. V5 getting a ward on this red buff, but V5 playing one of OMG's own counters against them. Shanji played this Lillia earlier on in the split against a blind Gwen pick, and now Rich taking it up against Shanji. But remember, Shanji's the guy that brought this to the table. He's gonna know how the matchup works.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna have played the opposite side plenty of times, and probably have a relatively good idea of how to play out the trading windows. It can be relatively frustrating because the thing about lane Lillia, she's got kind of awkward ranges to deal with when you're a melee champion. So if you want to deal damage to Lillia, Lilia's going to deal damage to you, and it's going to make her harder to lock down, obviously, because of the passive. She gets faster and faster with every ability she hits. So the extended fights can be quite difficult, and curiously, Shanji's gone towards the Ignite to try and cut down some of the passive healing, as opposed to the Ghost to try and lock him down.
Big damage on Photic. Traded onto Cold here, but honestly, OMG will be happy with that. 80 carry damage for support damage. You take that every day of the week, and April ain't stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, lethal tempo stacked up with that Calibrum, so much range. Just allows him to get a couple more autos in on the backside of that trade, and like you say, you know, support health for AD health is always a worthy trade for the team that is losing out on the support health. And longsword 3 pots for Photic. He's already through 2 of them. And it's Thorin's Blade for Abel, so he's going to be doing just fine.
Yeah, he's going to be doing great. It's Shanji actually kind of winning out a trade there against Rich while Rich is level 2, but nothing Shanji can do about this one. Has to back away with that level 2 spike. Similar story in that bottom's lane. But Xiaolongbao goes for his blue buff. Level 3 now. Moves over in towards this bottom lane. Abel and Cold are so far pushed up, and he circumvented that early ward. They're not going to be expecting a play like this as ppgod moves on forward. One more auto on Cold, and he'll be able to get that stun if he needs it. But Abel goes on in, but he's not going to be able to do the damage. It does not matter what he does. Flash available here. Zap goes wide. Xiaolongbao trying to finish him. Good flash from Abel. Will keep himself alive. But there's a nice start to the game for V5.
Yeah, I mean, given how far up OMG were, I think they can be pretty happy that Abel got out, but that is still a lot of damage done to that bottom side of the map. The wave was in a position where it could have been frozen. It seems like V5 are going to just shove that one out between Photic and ppgod, so Abel will be able to catch it at the very least, but I think the fact that the kill goes into Xiaolongbao's pocket is definitely going to do him quite a bit of good. Trying to get a little more early action for himself and a little more aggressive into these lanes, unlike last game where he was kind of shut down as soon as that 2v2 didn't go his way.
Xiaolongbao, yeah, denying the Q from Ahri there. Ahri not happy about that one, as we will meet Xiaolongbao can actually get the double scuttle off of this one. No smite available, but the same story for Ahri. So very nicely done by XLB to read what the enemy jungler is doing.
Yeah, and you can just see really great pathing from Xiaolongbao here. Just avoids the ward entirely and is able to run both Cold and Abel down. Abel kind of just gets aggressive. I feel like in the moment he was like, okay, we have to commit, otherwise there's no point in just dying without trying to get something. Gets Photic's heal and the exhaust out ppgod. So at the very least takes as many resources as he can. Of course, manages to escape with his life, doesn't go down, so big positive there, but did have to exchange the flash for it.
Yeah. Really nicely done, though, by Xiaolongbao, and I think it's kind of crucial after game number 1, right? I keep talking about how great Ahri played on the Poppy in game number 1. Xiaolongbao, though, getting the best in the early game, at least for the time being, and putting a bit of onus on Ahri to be a bit proactive, because this Vi, you can certainly make plays before that level 6 mark if you can find the window. But so far, he's just been farming off his Cold. Going to try and deny some vision from ppgod and Photic. We'll be able to get that ward. And also a cheeky little spell thief proc onto ppgod, no less. But with Drake spawning, you can see Ahri moving his way over to that pit. Don't know whether he'll actually commit to that one.
Not too sure. We'll have to see. But a top lane matchup is one that I'm very, very interested to see whether or not Rich is able to find the advantages that Shanji was able to in their first matchup a couple of weeks ago. And also because I'm a bit of an idiot top enjoyer myself, and it's very rare that we get to see the champion in pro play. let alone in the top lane. But for now, definitely finding the advantage. A little bit of a CS lead, health advantage as well. It's just more to do with, again, the ranges of Lillia's abilities. Makes it kind of hard to trade out on Shanji's end.
Yeah, tough matchup for Shanji so far. 3 CS lead, not the end of the world. We'll see how that develops. Certainly level 6 is going to be an interesting moment because if Shanji gets that window, he will go in. Xiaolongbao with some defensive vision, or no, sorry, aggressive vision. He's on the other side of the map. 2 control wards around that red buff, but Ahri shows up at the top side. We'll just clear that vision away. Can't go for the gank, at least for the time being. Not level 6 just yet. And maybe a chance for Xiaolongbao. You can see him hiding in the bottom lane. Would love to go in onto Abel and Cold. Abel will be the target here. Slowed up. Xiaolongbao into the lane. And Abel goes down. Xiaolongbao is ruining this bottom lane. As needlework lands. Okay, just slightly wide. Cold still in trouble. Rookie's here now too. He wants to join in the party. Finds the charm. There's the true damage. 3 kills now for V5.
All right, this feels a lot more like V5. I think they saw the first game. They saw what Abel and Cold are doing. And they're saying, all right, not 2 games in a row. And this time Photic is getting all of the attention that he needs to play out this Jinx lane proper and well. Get a replay of the gank. The Abyssal Dive, of course, from Fog of War means that there's slightly less time to react to it from OMG's perspective, and it just about clips Cold, unfortunately. But the target is actually Abel because he's the one that's overextending. Take him down, and then in the longer run, you can see Rookie just using that Spirit Rush to get over those walls. Once Cold has flashed, he's a very easy target to dash rounds off of, connect that charm onto. Rookie will pick himself up a kill to boot to.
Xiaolongbao is just splitting the map at this point.
Yeah.
It's not often that you see a map split in 2022, but Xiaolongbao is like, look, we are just going to ruin Abel and Cold's day. They ruined our day earlier on. Now it's time for a bit of recompense, as it's almost a 2,000 gold lead in favor of V5 at just 7 minutes. They're trying to return the favor to OMG, and we'll see if they can keep that ball rolling for themselves. Abel and Cold, a little far up the lane, but they will be able to back away before ppgod arrives here. And Ahri just discovered that his red buff is gone.
Yes, he did. And I think for V5, they just want to keep doing exactly what they're doing. I think the better thing to track, or the more interesting thing to track, will be whether or not OMG can actually respond on the top side, right? And we've seen V5 effectively split the map. The only thing they've not done is quite literally just take the dragon. So I think for now, OMG, the only realistic path to try and claw back some of this gold to me is try and shut down Rich, who just lost his flash. And what does Vi do the best at? Punishing flashes and the mobile targets, and it looks like it's going to go straight through the lane.
Here we go. Immediately just slams the ult onto Rich, and I think Rich knows that this one is over. Shanji will finish the kill off. Nicely done. And Ahri, really intelligent pathing, right? Yeah. Dodging all of the wards, going actually through the lane to make sure he could make that happen. One good ult for Ahri. Long time until the next one comes up, though.
Yeah, is a relatively lengthy cooldown at rank 1. And I think with those 2 ults being blown, Xiaolongbao's just going to take the opportunity to try and take up this top side Rift Herald. And actually, Creme looking for Rookie a bit.
Aggressive trade here, trying to go for the kill while that cannon is being taken. Rookie forced to Spirit Rush there. Nice pressure coming out from Creme, using his knowledge of that lane to dominate Rookie, honestly, in the 1v1. Ahri's back on the Herald. Rookie Spirit Rushing back to lane, but Creme dodges away from the damage. You can see Abel staying in the bottom lane, though, so this is becoming very risky for OMG.
Yeah, I think OMG not going to be able to get too much out of this one. Photic should just rotate back towards the bottom side and catch the wave that Abel shoves in. V5 end up winning out on both sides. Really sure they do lose Rich, but to be honest, picking up that Herald on the back end and being able to, I imagine, give it to Photic, given V5's trend of play so far, going to be absolutely huge for them in getting him to that green spike as soon as possible with the 2-ice spike to fight in the mid game.
This got a grab, will be taken by Ahri. Does manage to find that with the smite. Xiaolongbao thinking he had that one to himself. He was not correct. I want to quickly talk about the junglers here, Jamada, because we've got a weird dichotomy where, on the one hand, Ahri just finishing his first item as we speak here. 0-0-1, not been a part of that much action, but 20 CS up in the jungle. Whereas Xiaolongbao, 2-0-1, has that Herald, much more about playing with the team here. Like, do you think that there's a better way to play the jungle? Do you think one of these is doing a better job this game, or is it just 2 different styles?
I think it's 2 different styles, but I think also, like, jungling is super contextual, right? Like, Ahri look at his lanes. What setup does he really have outside of the mid lane super early on? And I think the fact that the early ganks went the way they did, Abel and Cold getting kind of shut down quite consistently without there being too much of a way for OMG to respond, kind of just meant that Aki spent more time farming and responding to what Xiaolongbao was doing. Whereas Xiaolongbao gets more tangible results in the immediate. Yes, you know, an individual lead is going to feel nice to Aki, but competitive League of Legends, typically it's not about those junglers carrying unless you've got those very strong picks. Rookie now.
No ultimate available for him. It's up in a couple of seconds, but actually doesn't even need it in the short term. Uses that for damage instead as Xiaolongbao moved into the mid lane. Aki's in trouble.
Oh, no.
Should have his Q up shortly. Oh, just about dodges away. The knock-up denies the Q from Aki, though. And now Rich arrives as well. Bit of damage down. Rookie grabs the kill. And V5 doing so much better this game in the skirmishes.
Yeah, it just felt like the initial engage from OMG didn't have enough damage at all to even find anywhere near lethal onto Rookie. And then the turnaround from V5 is excellent. Xiaolongbao just doing a great job of denying exit for Aki, and of course the rotation even eventually comes down for Rich to get involved. Rookie picks himself up another kill and feeling super safe, right? I think one of the things that you'll see whenever you see a Vi picked specifically in some of these mobile champions like Ahri is that there's that, you know, heavy CC mid laner picked alongside it. Sylas pretty much only has the abscond abduct, and in this instance I don't think he even connected to try and chain CC. Rookie down. Unfortunately was able to spirit rush out of it, so he's having a pretty fine time in the bottom side. Speaking of people having fine times, Photic as well picks up a second plate alongside ppgod. I think
Look where Xiaolongbao is. They're going to go for a Herald right here.
we would have guessed. I think for me, OMG right now, they just need to try and split the map in the same sense that V5 have been, but maybe the window is already starting to shut. And they have to try and punish Rich with the Vi ults back to back, give Shanji a massive lead, but it seems like Xiaolongbao is just giving Photic so much gold, so much of his time. And now finally maybe they can turn towards the dragon as well.
Yeah, really nicely done here by V5. Domination in the bottom side. We see Creme moving over, but I don't think that's something he can really contest. As Aki heading down as well. Abel and Cold moving up to ppgod, but again, I don't really know if these are fights that OMG want to take at this point. They're pretty far behind in gold with control of the bottom side in favor of V5. You've got to be cautious how far forward you step here from the perspective of OMG.
Definitely so. Creme is doing a pretty good job, however, of just kind of forcing just a fog pressure of V5 to retract a little bit in their aggression. They will start this dragon up. Whether or not Aki wants to go for a 50-50 or whether or not OMG will go for a fight, I think is an answer that will be no. V5 will just pick this one up freely. And again, it feels like OMG just aren't really trying to cross-map or trade anything as V5 get all of these advantages.
So let's talk big picture here, because V5, it feels like they're kind of back to V5 form where they're dominating and looking for this tower in the bottom side. Xiaolongbao has spent the last like 20 minutes in this bottom lane. We're only 13 minutes into the game. Really focused on getting Photic and ppgod ahead. Rookie, we talked about the potential of subbing Dream in, and Rookie took that personally. 2-0 so far this game, having a much better performance once again as ppgod muscles his way further into the lane, and Photic will finish off this final plate just about in time as well. 10 seconds left on that one as Creme tries to make a play in the mid lane, but he's being baited in. Xiaolongbao goes in. Good charm from Rookie. Bit of damage there while the bottom lane tower is taken, and it feels like this is the V5. They're back on top, and this is why I love best of 3 Jamada.
Yep.
Because in the best of 1, this is OMG showing us this really nice pick in terms of the Ashe support. They deserve that win, absolutely, but now V5 get a chance to respond and show, hey, that wasn't indicative of the level of our two teams. That was indicative of a specific play, and we have now answered that in the draft.
Best of 3s are superior to best of 1s. Simple as that, right? As Rocket just gonna deny it. Oh, that could be big. You can chase him down.
Spirit Rush. Okay, force the flash. Honestly, you take those.
Yeah.
You happily take those. 2 ults for a flash. The ults will come up a lot sooner than that flash will.
Yeah, absolutely. Spirit Rush has an obnoxious I don't know why it's still as low as it is, but also it makes Ahri a champion, so I'll let it slide. But
also, the Observer overlay slightly funky on that one, because on our screens, Rookie's ult was still actually on cooldown there when he used his ult. It was like close to coming off a cooldown, but it was definitely still on cooldown on my screen. So
Yeah,
I was quite surprised to see him go for the Spirit Rush.
yeah, I think it's this weird spectator bug, because obviously it has charges. It kind of just makes it look like it's on cooldown or off cooldown at times. V5, I think they're just trying to spread around their pressure a little bit, obviously bring Photic into the mid lane. Just looking to rotate for pressure and a little bit of vision control around this Herald.
Man, Cold is a brave Lulu.
Yes,
He's got 500 HP and he's face checking a Tahm Kench. Rich turns golden here as OMG trying to muscle their way in. Cold with the wild growth here, keeps himself safe, returns to the rest of his team. Xiaolong Bao backing away, uses his clone. Shanji in amongst everyone here. Third needlework primed and ready. V5 are backed away. ppgod takes a hit as V5 decide, you know what? Forget the Herald. We'll just take the tier 1 in the mid lane. You've given us priority, and we'll happily punish you for that.
Yeah, I mean, V5 just get the second tower of the game for free. Now they can just go back to the Herald if they really want. They have a couple of key ultimates still available. Rookie has a Spirit Rush, ppgod has the Devour. Teleport's available to Rich as well.
Only one with an ult on the side of OMG. Moonlight Vigil is the only ult available for OMG. They're still going to contest though. They're still going to go for this. Shanji moves forward. Rich trying to get in as Rookie gets the charm. And the follow-up is beautiful. Down goes OMG's jungler. And maybe OMG's hopes in this game as Rookie just annihilating everyone on the backside. Another great charm. Another great kill. And another great ace for V5.
V5 absolutely wiped the floor with OMG in this skirmish. And looks like OMG here might be out of fuel because V5 are looking like they're firing on all cylinders again. Great skirmish from them. It looked a little bit dicey for a brief moment, but I think as soon as that charm connects onto Ahri and they're able to burst him down, the fight is pretty much over from the start. Photic gets the resets going, and so does Rookie.
I'm going to talk about subbing Rookie out more if it means that we get these kind of performances out of him, because my God, he is destroying them today. I like that from Ahri protecting his AD carry, but ultimately it's all for naught because Rookie then goes for the flank on the back line. The polymorph not doing nearly enough.
Yeah, not enough, unfortunately, and Rookie just does a job of dipping and diving in of damage and takes down the key targets that he has to. Feels like OMG window to really try and play the game has already been slammed in their face by V5. I think as soon as Xiaolong Bao was just effectively what felt like splitting the map entirely and not really allowing Abel and Cold to have a 2v2 like they did in game number 1, I feel like you just have to slam Rich in the top side. I think you just can't really let him play the game, and you try at the very least to give Shanji a lead in this matchup. So,
Abel is real deep here, real deep in enemy territory, because that is not his jungle anymore. Will survive for a second, but finally goes down. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, Rookie's pushing in the bottom lane. You've got Photic pushing in the mid lane. I don't know why he thought that was his red buff.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you know. I feel like I always see AD carries going for my red buff, and felt like Abel too. Exactly. He's like, I think I can get this. It's now Shanji. He's in a 1v4, and I've seen Gwen win these, but I don't think.
Yeah, he's going to all in onto Rookie. The damage from the needlework, but Rookie dodges it. Zap goes wide.
Whoa.
He goes with the snip. Oh, a little too close for comfort for Rookie there, but ultimately two tier 2 towers. Wow, that's a mouthful. Going down. Is Photic going to guarantee the charge on the inhib tower? Oh, and I don't think he's that. Oh, nicely done, Ahri. Smites it away. Denies a potential inhib tower, because honestly, I think Photic could have kept going with that Devour available for ppgod.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was completely safe with ppgod right beside him, and now they'll pick up this second dragon. Teleport's coming in, but I'm not really sure what the idea will be from Creme once he finds the remains of the corpse, and Ahri quite good to see Photic basing in the pit with the sweeper, so won't go over the wall either, and it's a Hex Soul, but I don't think we're getting to a Hex Soul, given how fast V5 are accelerating this game.
You know, I'll make a wager with you here, Jamada. I think V5 are determined to finish this one faster than OMG finished their game, right? They've got 6 minutes on the clock to finish this one out. The last game finished at 25-11.
I'm glad that you brought this up, because I did the exact same thing last weekend whilst I was at the LEC. Any game that looked really stompy, kind of like this, I said 25 over or under.
No. Oh my God, the Hex K engage? This is a weird
one. Alright, they're doing good. Okay.
It somehow doesn't turn into a fight. I was wrong, it turns into a fight. Creme with the wild growth here on the front line, but he's just not got enough damage. He's just not tanky enough either. And Photic finds one. Abel half HP as Rookie over the wall with the Everfrost as well. Ahri charmed, pulled back. ppgod saves his AD carry. And OMG get absolutely nothing. Abel falls. And I mean, they've got 5 minutes to end the game, and they've got no one on the map for OMG.
All right, I think they're just going to go take the Baron Munch and then reset and look to try and close this one out as concisely as they can. I've got a wager for you, Munch.
Oh, yeah. I'm here.
23 minutes, 45 seconds. Over or under? Under? Under. All right. So again, look at this replay here from this skirmish. Yeah, Creme just doesn't have damage at all and just gets kind of one shot by the end of the play. And even though an almost pick ends up happening onto Photic with Ahri finding the turnaround here, yeah, ppgod. We did speak about this potential concern for OMG and specifically Ahri in the later stages of team fights, and it comes to fruition here. Even if they were able to take down Photic, it would have been a bit of a consolation prize, but the fact that it's shut down entirely just has to feel even worse. OMG have effectively only found a kill and a tower this game. Other than that, it's been complete V5 domination.
So, 23:45 is the time on the clock. You're over, I'm under. And crucially, the reason I've gone for the under here is partly just because it's V5. This is a team that knows how to win a game. But partly as well, it's because we're on a hex rift. So even on the resets, they only leave for about 4 seconds. They've got 2 minutes of power to work with. Shanji with an all-in here. ppgod devouring Photic, pulling him to safety as Shanji goes for the third needlework. Creme on the back line, but can he actually do any damage here? Goes straight onto Photic, needs to finish the kill, doesn't finish it off. Shanji falls. And the fight is already over. Rookie flashing forward. He desperately wants to finish Cold off. But Cold will slip away like the slippery squid he is. But it does not matter. The bound up minions are in the base. And V5 want to prove me right.
Yeah, V5 were angry after how game 1 went. And right now they are just going to return the favor. Straight up in kind. A harsher one even by time from V5. 32 minutes on the clock. You said under. Once you were right. The Baron buff is barely over halfway through. Cold. That's a crit. That's a dead squid. We're going to game 3.
Yes, we are at 22 minutes and 27 seconds on the clock as the Nexus fall. That is domination from the side of V5. My goodness, what a performance coming out from them. Shallow Bow, not even clicking victory. Not even getting out of the game. He just walks away. Cool guys don't look at explosions, Jamada.
Yeah, it feels like we're watching blitz scrims, man. Like 220, 25-minute games. Both absolute schmackins from either team. Makes me curious to see what the adaptation now will be from OMG, now being on the losing end of what was such a dominating performance, one that they handed out to V5 from game 1. Seems like V5 were a lot more confident with this draft this time around. I think definitely caught off guard by that severe Ashe lane on the bottom side, and just also having 3 losing lanes effectively, or like 2 losing lanes and a 2v2, which is probably definitely OMG favored. Finally now having actual agency tools from the early game, from the start, definitely felt a lot more like a comfort zone for V5 to actually play around with.
Yeah, very different draft, very different game, and leaves me kind of scratching my head for game number 3, because we will likely swap sides. It'll be V5 choosing their side once again. I wouldn't be too surprised if they change things up. But then again, you know, red side worked for them here in game number 2. Maybe they feel like they figured it out. I want to see what OMG do next in this follow-up draft. I mean, the speed of this game. How often do you see a game end with 2 Drakes taken? Only 2. That is just never happens.
That is a rarity. I think especially because V5 just kind of ignored the dragon, to be honest with you, whilst they was getting all of the resources funneled into the bottom side of the map. Which, I mean, to be fair, you know, remove the flip factor of maybe a soul coming into play, or an elder coming into play, but I think they still would have been about 6 minutes short of that anyway, even if they picked up super early. So, really, one of the most one-sided games I think I've seen full split. I think you could maybe argue what we saw last game as well was one of them, but this was even a harder schmacking from V5. And definitely what we needed to see. After that game 1, I was starting to get a little bit worried for them, given, you know, some of what we were talking about the last recent weeks. Still a bit concerning to see them lose that, but seeing them win in this manner feels a lot more homely to V5.
Yes, it does. Look at the KDAs across the team, man. Not a single player with less than a double-digit KDA. That is just disgusting. And, you know, you see Shanji and Ahri, the only ones that participated in the kills happening up on the top side, with Abel getting one of the kill credits as well. But Yeah, I don't know. A tough one for OMG. A lot of work cut out for them moving into their next game here in this series. For OMG, look, they are coming in today as the underdogs, but it will be really sad if they don't get this win on the board after how game number 1 went. I really hope they have another strategy up their sleeve to surprise V5 here in this best of 3, because if it's just down to standard League of Legends, I feel like V5 are going to win it every time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think side select is going to be a really key thing. Like you said, staying on red side for V5 kind of would make sense because they've just won such a heavy fashion. But I think also denying Shanji that R5 to stop them from getting these weird counter picks is also a very key strategy potentially to look towards.
We'll have to see if that's a strategy they will lean into. We're going to jump into a break and then we'll find out if OMG can find this upset or if V5 are back on form.